Hello, my movie gamers. I just got done watching Gran Turismo, and with Gran Turismo, we find ourselves in the middle of a video game slash biopic, probably the first of its kind, where we tell the real life story about a gamer who went from playing Gran Turismo in his living room to then driving real race cars and becoming an actual professional driver. And that's all pretty much. Without getting any spoilers to you guys, this will be a spoiler-free review, although the movie is based off real life events. If you don't know the full story, I recommend you don't check it out until after the movie, because there were some things that surprised me in here, man. But before getting into that, Gran Turismo as a game. Now, it was actually never a PlayStation game I partaked in. I was honestly surprised when I looked into it and found out that the game is like the most popular racing game out there, mainly because it's a simulator. It tries to be as realistic as possible to what real race car driving is. But little old me was way more interested in games like Burnout, okay? You give me a Burnout movie, I'm watching that, okay? Driving, taking down cars, explosions. I remember there was a mode in Burnout where it was all about crashing into an intersection and trying to make the most damage possible. Now, if that's something we can pull off in real life, I'll sign up for that as your driver. So suffice to say, I really didn't have much interest in this movie. The only thing that actually interested me about Gran Turismo was the director, Neil Blomkamp. This is a man that I've been wanting to get back up there in high strides, because ever since District 9, I feel like this man does have a vision. He's capable of directing some really awesome sci-fi work. But as his directing career went on, it just never seemed like he found that stride again. And with Gran Turismo, I gotta say, pretty nice little movie. Jumping into the things I did like about the movie, for one, like I said, I think it helped that I knew nothing about the real life story. But man, was this such a unique way for PlayStation Studios to adapt the game, because it being a racing simulator, it's like you got two in one. You got a biopic and you got a video game adaptation. Neil Blomkamp pulls off the racing scenes really well. They are suspenseful. They got me on the edge of my seat, heart-pounding, thrilling. I wouldn't say to the level of like Top Gun Maverick and those aviation scenes, but you know, somewhere a little bit below that, that's where Gran Turismo was. I was around the same wavelength going, oh man, I hope they win this race. And they throw in a little video game isms in there. They have little graphics that pop up going, 12th place, 4th place, 3 laps left, 2 laps left, this much time. So yeah, everything pertaining to like the race car scenes, I felt like this movie actually nailed. Archie Medekwi, who plays Jan in the movie, I thought had a lot of heart, was a fun character to root for. Just a down on his luck kid looking for a break, and when he gets one, you like following his journey. But David Harbour, man, this guy just rules in any role he's in. Him being this kind of hard-ass teacher that is almost annoyed that he has to train a bunch of gamers to actually get into cars. All of that is pulled off so well, and the relationship he builds up, this mentor role for Jan, I really grew to like that relationship throughout the movie and the way it builds when stakes get higher. Because that's another thing I didn't think too much about when going in to see this movie, is they literally thought it was a good idea to take people who were playing in their living rooms and then put them inside a car that like literally is traveling at such high speeds. You crash, you make a wrong move. I feel like the movie does an excellent job of showing you like how crazy dumb this experiment was, and it's almost unbelievable that it was a real thing. Bringing me to what I was saying, that if you don't know the real life story, don't look it up before you see this movie, because there is a jaw-dropping moment in here I was not expecting to be part of this movie at all. For a good chunk of Gran Turismo, it plays like such a predictable underdog story. It's, cliche lines of, you really think you're gonna make money off playing a video game? Or lines like, you'll die out here, kid, you can't just do that. Then obviously overcoming stuff and placing really well inside races. It's like you could see exactly where this was going, even though it was a true story. It's like, man, this feels like it was written like every other sports movie out there about the guy who's gonna prove everyone wrong. But that real life aspect that comes into play about something like hella freaking dark, I did not see coming. I was like, did that actually happen? That actually happened? What? But it genuinely had me stunned, and after the movie was over, I had to go and do all my Google research to be like, did that actually happen, and why was it okay? But aside from that thing that just had me stunned while watching the movie, I feel like it was a pretty good time. It's nothing mind-blowing, but I feel like it's a feel-good enough time. It's an interesting story to dive into. A lot of the writing and story beats feel so predictable, and I feel like they underdeveloped this father-son relationship in the movie. Dejman Hansen plays the father in here, and he's obviously thinking his son's wasting his life by playing this video game, and feels like it's going to be a big part of it, and then his character just disappears for all the middle of the movie and then comes back towards the end for a heartwarming sentimental moment, and it felt like it could have been a lot more impactful if they didn't just have the character disappear off screen for so long. So when it comes to Gran Turismo, I'm gonna give action 3 stars. I feel like all the racing scenes are filmed super well. There's plenty of them in the movie. They're engaging to watch. The only downside is it does get repetitive towards the end, and you can understand why some races start like right before they're about to end or right in the middle of them, because it feels like there's only so much you can do with the amount of races they throw in here. Comedy in the movie, I'm gonna give it 2.5 stars. A lot of that will come from David Harbour. I found him to be really funny in the movie. Drama in the movie, I'm gonna give it 3.5 stars. It would have just been 3 stars if it were not for that dark moment I was not expecting to see in the movie. I felt that really brought this movie up a notch for me, and it's where some of that real life isms come into play. Horror in the film, I will give 1 star to, again, mainly due to that one scene that happens. I mean, you go from a kid who's just playing video games in your room to then, getting behind the wheel of a car and what could happen with those consequences. And suspense of the film, I'm gonna give it 4 stars. I feel like I was on the edge of my seat a lot throughout the movie, wanting to see him qualify for certain races, make it to the finish line, beat other people, and that's what you would hopefully want for a movie dedicated to cars racing. Casual fans, I'm gonna give it a B+. Cinephiles, I'm gonna give it a B-, and critically, I'm going to give it a C+. I feel like Gran Turismo is an innocent, fun enough time that merges both biopic and video game adaptation into one that should be worth watching in theaters. But again, that's just my opinion on Gran Turismo. I really want to hear from you guys, especially if you were someone that already knew the story and things that happened to this person in their life. Did it make the movie less interesting for you, or were you curious how they adapted that? For those of you who knew nothing about the story and then watched the film, what did you think? We'll love to hear all your thoughts down below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow me on Twitter at 3C Films or on TikTok at 3C Films. But as always, I'm Chris. Take care, gamers.